I think that we're going to start. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tammy Warsoski. I am a proud parent of 2 alumni of Solomon Schechter Day School, and I am Director of Advancement. I am so incredibly excited to welcome you to our program and thrilled that the topic of health and wellness has resonated with so many people in our Schechter community. Before we begin the program, as we think about how to take care of ourselves, we also pray for peace and for healing in Ukraine and for all of those who are suffering physically and emotionally wherever they are. So please just join me in a moment of silence and personal prayer. Thank you. Tonight's topic is really important to me. I have always had an interest in health and wellness, and yet, despite the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years, it often feels like I'm on a roller coaster with nutrition, exercise, and overall well being. And the more I talk with friends and colleagues, the more I realize that I'm not alone. So many of us know the basics, and yet we still have ups and downs and need guidance on how to care for our mind, our body, and our soul. There is so much wealth of knowledge in our Schechter community, and I am so grateful that Schechter parents of alumni, Cindy Taitz and Liz Geifman, who are both functional nutrition and fitness coaches, and Dr. Mary Farhi, an OBGYN with additional specialties in integrative and functional medicine, jumped at the chance to share their vast knowledge and insight with our community. Each one of these incredible practitioners could speak for an entire session or more on their own. Together, they offer a truly holistic approach to how we can make small changes to reap big rewards with our health. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Mary Farhi.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to open up a little PowerPoint. So give me 1 minute to share my screen. And I just want to say I'm so excited to be back within this community. I am the proud mother of 4 Schechter alumni, and just really fun to be engaged with everyone. So this is something that's also near and dear to my heart in terms of wellness and vitality. And I think I agree with Tammy, it can get overwhelming because we're really, especially now with the internet and all the people with Twitter and Instagram and all these accounts, we're really inundated with information. And sometimes it's really hard to kind of sift through and know where to start or know how to continue. So hopefully tonight we'll give you some tips. So I think just before we even talk about it, the question really is, what do we even mean by what is health? What is healthy? And so health just mean I don't have a disease, or it's the not yet, meaning sometimes if I ask, if somebody will say, well, I don't have diabetes yet, I'm just pre-diabetic. Is that health? Or that it's okay, how's your cholesterol? It's okay, but is it optimal? So I think just starting off with kind of introducing the concept of how do we begin to think about and define what is health in order to set goals for ourselves and for our whole population. So I think about wellness not just in our physical body, but in our mind, body, and our spirit. And so for me, wellness is feeling vital and energized and strong and able to do the daily living things that I want to accomplish. But what I think is also really important to consider is that wellness and vitality are not a passive process. We have to be engaged in this. It has to be an active process. So I'm going to use the example of diabetes just to kind of talk about this health spectrum. So at one end, we have, our optimal health. And at the other end, we would have a dis-ease, such as diabetes. And the important thing is that we are all at different points in our lives, somewhere on the spectrum. And so what's also important to recognize is that lifestyle changes, our lifestyle itself can impact our health spectrum all the way from whether we're very healthy or whether we've already been diagnosed with the disease. So just because we have become diabetic doesn't mean, well, I'm already diabetic, there's nothing I can do about it, because we can always change where we are on this health spectrum. And I just think it's important to keep in mind that our goal is to be down here to optimize our health and wellness. So in terms of, just moving my screen a little bit here. In terms of creating wellness, I think it's important to try and this is the concept of functional medicine, is identifying underlying issues or root causes that could contribute or cause some chronic disease. And then also at the same time, trying to cultivate good lifestyle habits during our critical years. I already mentioned the balance within mind, body, and spirit. And again, beginning to just, I always say, take a sip or shift in perception of shifting the discussion to, do I have a disease, or how do I diagnose a disease? How do I make sure I never get a disease? And am I creating optimal wellness and vitality? Oops, my screen is not moving. Give me a sec. So I think that as a gynecologist, so many women hit the menopause years with an empty tank of gas. And I think what's really important to think about beginning, in our teens, our 20s, our 30s, is to really build up our metabolic reserve so that as we age, we have more reserve if health issues do begin to appear. So I think it's important to fill your tank. And again, as women come in to see me frequently, and they'll say, can you check my hormones, because I don't feel like I'm in balance. And I think that as women, we do tend to focus on our reproductive hormones about whether we're in balance, but to just check random reproductive hormones when a woman's cycling or even in menopause really doesn't give us any indication of whether you're in balance. Things like, are your menstrual cycles normal? Are they not too painful? Those are things that communicate whether we're in balance. Excuse me, that's my Charlie. And so I think I always say, are you listening to your body? Because our bodies communicate with us. So if there's something going on, it's important to listen. The other players in this game of hormones are adrenals and stress hormones, which I'll talk a little bit more about, pancreas and our insulin production, our thyroid gland. Our adipose tissue or fatty tissue is actually metabolically active and secretes hormones, as does our gastrointestinal system, and our GI tract is so important in our overall health. So in terms of stress, I think it's really underappreciated and how much it's contributing to chronic dis-ease. And I, by no means say we are going to banish stress, but the issue is, can we learn how to control our reaction to stress? And excuse me 1 minute, I need to let my dog out. Sorry about that. So I think it's just important to learn to recognize our symptoms of stress and have tools in our toolbox, which I know Liz is going to talk to us more about managing those stressors in our lives and what we can do about that. Because chronic cortisol secretion, if we're in the fight or flight response all day long, that, oftentimes women think, oh, it must be menopause, I'm gaining weight. Well, midsection weight gain really is a stress response. So we need to just recognize the contribution. So what can you do? I think it's super important. I mean, most people probably know what's in their checking account and know so many stats about their overall, personal finances, but do we know our health stats? Do you know what your most recent blood pressure reading was? Do you know what your cholesterol profile is? And within that cholesterol profile, what is your good cholesterol? What is your bad cholesterol? And are those in an appropriate ratio? What's your hemoglobin A1C, which is a measure of your average blood sugar for 3 months? And that can just tell you, again, where you are in that health spectrum, because you don't want to be in a pre-diabetic range. You want to be in a healthy, vital range. So important to stay current on your health screening, such as colonoscopies, and the recommendation just changed to 45 from 50. Staying current on mammography screening, such as all the different health screenings. And then I think it's really important to view food as medicine. And Cindy's going to talk more about this as well. And I always think it's important. I say to patients, your mantra should be real food and eat it in a rainbow of colors. And if it's something that your great grandmother wouldn't recognize as a food, don't put it in your body. We want to get moderate exercise, incorporate stress reduction. As I mentioned, Liz is going to walk us through that, and get enough sleep, because not sleeping enough is a physiologic stressor. So at least 7 hours of sleep, ideally 8. And then we should be taking supplements that are targeted and specific. So an example would be vitamin D. If you're vitamin D deficient, you should take an appropriate amount so that you are sufficient. But what's really important is that supplements are not a replacement for a healthy, balanced diet. And I've had patients come in literally with backpacks full of supplements, thinking that taking all these supplements are going to help counteract the effect that a chronic stress in their life is having. They can definitely support our bodies, but they don't replace a healthy, balanced diet. So take home messages from me would be: let food be your medicine, practice mindfulness and stress reduction, get enough sleep, move your body, but not too much. Sorry, my computer. And get enough sleep. And I think just one last thought that I would leave everyone with before I turn it over to Cindy is that also in making changes, if you feel like, oh, I could make some changes in maybe getting more sleep or maybe getting more exercise, trying to make changes that are sustainable are really important. So, if you're like, I'm going to go work out at the gym for an hour and a half every day, that might not be sustainable. If you say, I'm going to try and get 150 minutes of movement every week, that might be sustainable. So make small changes that are sustainable. And now I'm going to turn it over to Cindy. Just need to stop sharing my screen for a minute. Okay.
Mary, thank you for that inspiring presentation. It is such a treat to be here with everyone tonight and to have this opportunity to inspire and empower you to take excellent care of yourselves. There are multiple ways to do this, but tonight my focus is on nutrition. Food is basically information for your body. It is one of the most accessible tools you have at your disposal to influence your health. The choices and habits you establish around feeding yourself are crucial to your health and well-being. We don't often think about food and eating in terms of self-care. We tend to think about food in terms of nurturing other people. We feed our children, our families, our friends. We take food to people in times of need, life cycle events, or just out of love. But as an act of self-care, eating is very underutilized, or perhaps better said, even underrealized. I invite you to take a deep breath and consider this shift in perspective. The way you choose to feed yourself is the most basic and fundamental way you can practice self-care. Every day, 3 times a day, you have the opportunity to nourish yourself, even more if you snack between meals. The food you put into your body matters. It has a profound impact on how you function and feel, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every single cell in your body requires nutrients in order to function, and we get nutrients from food. But not all food is created equal. Optimal nutrition comes from nature in the form of whole, real food. There are no ingredients in whole food. The food is the ingredients. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, beans, nuts, seeds, meat, chicken, fish, milk, eggs. There are plenty to choose from. And they contain no additives, no preservatives, no artificial colors, and no flavors. All the nutrients and the components you need to build and maintain health are found within these foods. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And not only do these foods supply all the nutrients, but they support the health of the digestive system too. And digestion is central to all aspects of health. Digestion involves multiple complex processes that I can't possibly begin to cover tonight. But the point to note is that the digestive system is what enables you to extract and absorb your nutrients from your food. If digestion is hindered, nutrient absorption is too, and nutritional deficiencies will result, wreaking havoc across systems. What this really means is that we can't look at physical, mental, or emotional disease or imbalance without considering the health of the gut. Food matters. Stress is a major contributing factor to digestive dysfunction, and managing stress is paramount to good digestion. And Liz is going to talk more about stress later on. The perfect diet is not about whether to be vegan, vegetarian, paleo, or keto. The perfect diet is about consuming whole, real foods, minimally processed, and abundant in nutrients. It includes creating habits that support digestion and assimilation and decreasing stress. You don't have to count nutrients or know exactly what nutrients are in every food. It's not about numbers and perfection. It's about habit building and consistency. It's about understanding how to incorporate nourishing foods into your meals and nourishing meals into your life. Okay, so how do we do this? Number one, hydrate. Start each day with a glass of water. You lose about 1 liter of water just sleeping. Replenish and set yourself up for success first thing in the morning. Hydration is vital. Select a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables to include in your weekly meals. Fill your cart with colors: sweet potatoes, red and yellow peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, purple cabbage, red onions, berries, citrus, garlic, and most especially leafy greens. They are your nutrition powerhouse. Try to consume them daily. And think beyond lettuce. Collard greens, arugula, bok choy, watercress, chard, and so on and so on. There are so many to choose from. Throw in a big bunch of parsley or cilantro and chop that up into your salad. Use it to throw onto any food that you're eating. I pretty much decorate everything with it. It just adds nutrients in such an easy way. And an added bonus, your cart will look so beautiful you won't even mind grocery shopping, and you'll be taking home a healthy dose of fiber too. Include protein, fat, and fiber at each meal. This combo will allow you to feel satiated and serve to regulate your blood sugar. Animal sources of protein include meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, and plant proteins include your beans, your legumes, your whole grains, your nuts, and your seeds. And if soy is part of your diet, stick with edamame or tofu or tempeh. Try and avoid the highly processed soy products. They don't serve you in any which way. Fats are crucial. You can't absorb fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K without fat. Fats are needed for hormone production and for brain function. Don't be afraid of fat, but choose wisely. Get to know the good fats from the bad. Healthy fat sources include avocados, nuts, seeds, butter, ghee, coconut oil, olive oil, and oily fish like sardines, anchovies, and mackerel. Limit your highly refined vegetable oils and eliminate the trans fats like those found in margarine, packaged goods, and fried foods. These fats lead to inflammation. Probiotic foods are really important. Probiotics are basically good bacteria that work to create health and maintain equilibrium in your gut. They support digestion and they increase nutrient absorption. You can find them in yogurt and tempeh, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, pickles. These are all great sources, and use them as condiments. A little goes a long way. If you are buying these in the grocery store and not making your own, make sure to grab them from the refrigerated section because the ones on the shelves won't have the live enzymes. Read ingredients. When you're purchasing shelf-stable products such as pasta sauces or breads or crackers or whatever, check the ingredients. Check the ingredient list and not the nutrition label. The nutrition facts will not tell you what's in the product that you're purchasing. There are really good, high-quality prepared foods that are out there that are convenient and time-saving, but read your ingredient labels and know what you're buying. And here we come to perhaps my favorite part that I think is vital for a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating. Embrace what food can do for you. Spend time in your kitchen joyfully, not reluctantly. Sit down to a meal. Take a deep breath, say a blessing, or reflect gratitude. And you can do this out loud or just quietly internally. It allows your body to settle into a relaxed state ready for digestion. The first stage of digestion is actually known as the cephalic stage, meaning it originates in the brain. When you have a slow simmering pot of soup or stew or a roast cooking in your oven and the smell permeates the house, you actually activate digestion. And yes, chocolate chip cookies do this too, but what a great reason to cook and bake your own food. And last but not least, chew. Chewing has so many benefits. It helps break up the food for easier digestion. It stimulates the release of digestive enzymes, and it slows you down. When you inhale your food in 5 minutes, your body has no time to register satiety. You will tend to overeat. When you chew, you get to savor the flavor of your meal, and you get to enjoy every bite. So practice self-care when it comes to feeding yourself, and you will reap the benefits today and well into your future. And Liz, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, am I on? Yes. All right, thank you. It's so nice to be here with everyone tonight. Thank you, Tammy, for the opportunity to speak alongside Mary and Cindy, both very hard acts to follow. But I'm going to talk about activity level and stress management. So I read a really interesting book that I highly recommend. It's called The Blue Zone Solution by Dan Buettner. Blue zones are 5 communities in various parts of the world where people have the longest life expectancy with the lowest incidence of lifestyle-related disease like type 2 diabetes or heart disease, obesity. These communities are, one is in Italy, one's Japan, one Greece, one Costa Rica, and then one is actually Loma Linda, California, specifically the Seventh-day Adventist community. So Buettner received a research grant to study these different blue zones and identify what the commonalities are. They're very different cultures, they have very different climates. So after spending time in all these communities, he decided that there were 3 main components, all of equal importance. One is nutrition. So not specifically what they eat, because what they eat in Japan is very different from what they eat in Italy, but how they eat. So a lot of what Cindy discussed, mostly whole plant-based foods, prepared and eaten mindfully, no fast food they don't eat in their cars or on the run, or sitting in front of like a computer screen. Another component is community. So really a cornerstone of these communities is their strong sense of community. Their lives revolve around faith-based or social groups. So Buettner determined that having people in their lives who they love and support, who they know in turn love and support them, adds tremendous value to their overall health and wellness. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that more later. But activity level was a huge one too. So though their lifestyles in these different communities are very different, The commonality is that they don't spend long periods of time sitting. The populations are generally active throughout their day. So they're walking, they're biking, they're growing their own food, maybe they're herding sheep. Like they're very, very mobile, up and moving all the time. Unlike our society, where we tend to spend too much time in front of our screens or in our cars. Sitting is the new smoking. I'm guessing some of you have heard that before. Studies have shown it can lead to obesity, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, loss of joint mobility, and poor posture. So I don't know how many of you are kind of like sitting like this right now. Sit up nice and straight. Some very easy ways to add more movement and stay generally active throughout your day. Park in the farthest parking spot. I joke with my husband all the time, he likes to get the closest one, but if you're gonna walk around the grocery store anyway, or the mall or the Botanic Gardens, park a little farther. It's good parking karma, you know, especially if the weather's nice. Take a stroll to the farthest bathroom. Use the stairs, like just little ways to add more activity into your day. A good habit for anyone who sits for long periods of time in front of a computer or at a desk for work, set the timer on your phone to 40 minutes. And then when it goes off, get up, do a lap, walk to the farthest bathroom, and then go ahead and sit back down. I have older clients who tend to spend time, they're more homebound, and they tend to spend time like parked in front of the TV or maybe sitting in front of their own computer. And I tell them to set the timer on their microwave in their kitchen so that when the timer goes off, they actually have to get up and walk into the kitchen and turn it off. So, you know, those are just a few little things that I think are kind of helpful to incorporate more activity, more steps. Regular exercise is, of course, a very important part of being active. It strengthens the immune system, releases endorphins, which is a natural mood booster, slows the aging process, helps to prevent cognitive decline, and it aids in detoxification and weight loss and weight management. I am a firm believer in a trifecta of exercise. Cardio, so important. I think you should do it every day. If that's not realistic, at least 3 times a week, maybe twice during the week and once on the weekend for like 30 to 40 minutes. It helps to build and maintain your cardiovascular and your pulmonary capacity, so strong heart and lungs. And it boosts your energy and your endurance. So go for a swim, go for a run, take a bike ride, walk, take a dance class. Anything that gets you going, gets your heart rate going a little bit. I think strength is so important. If you can do some strength work 2 to 3 times a week, maybe just 20 minutes after your cardio, or take a class that combines your strength and your cardio. That helps to build and maintain your muscle mass, your bone density, your core stability. Our core is our powerhouse. It's the center of our strength. It protects our low back, it helps with hip stabilization, and it's the center of your balance. So grab some weights, maybe do some body weight exercises or get some resistance bands. And then of course, stretching. If you can stretch every day, that would be amazing. And you really can stretch every day. It's important to build and maintain your joint mobility and of course your muscle flexibility. So take a yoga class, a stretch class, or Pilates. There are a lot of stretch labs, or I'm not sure what it's called, but classes that are popping up. Or just stretch, like maybe when you get up in the morning or before you go to bed, reach your arms overhead, maybe try to touch your toes, make arm circles, get those shoulders going, just move your body, feel it stretch. All 3 are important for continued functional movement. And these functional movements enable us to do things like reach things off of high shelves, walk up and down stairs or hills, carry groceries or children or grandchildren, push or pull open doors. It's kind of cheating. If you don't need to use the handicap button, don't use it. It's good to like really use that strength, to utilize that strength, avoid falls. And then of course, getting up and down off the floor or off the floor if you have fallen. And then very importantly, getting up off the toilet seat. I have had clients who really need help with that. And One of the things we know about functional movement skills is that if we don't use them, we lose them. And of course, everybody regularly gets up and down off the toilet seat, but when we lose that strength in our legs, it gets harder and harder to make that happen. And there are ways to retrofit your own personal toilet seat. But if you're at somebody else's house, these are things that as we age, we struggle with a little bit more. So you really want to make sure that you can keep yourself mobile as best as you can. You want to set yourself up for success. So as a fitness coach, I recommend that you find exercises that you love, that you like, that you even somewhat enjoy. You might even learn to love them over time. Experiment with different formats. There's so much out there. Sometimes it takes a few classes to get comfortable in a new type or style of class. And then create your community of fitness, build your community. Find friends who are on the path with you, who have some similar wellness goals. Meet them for walks, take a class together, maybe even share a personal trainer. And then work with trainers, coaches, teachers who motivate you and who are invested in your success. And then finally, schedule exercise into your week. Don't leave it to chance. It just might not happen. We're all so busy. Put it on your calendar and treat it like any other appointment, whether you're exercising on your own, whether you're meeting up with a friend, or maybe you're attending a class or going to meet with a trainer. I highly recommend that. Okay, I'm going to move over to stress management. Mary stressed earlier the importance of stress management, and that is another very important component to overall health and wellness. Exercise can really help with stress relief. It can also help with getting a better night's sleep. Expending energy in the form of movement can help release physical tension, and sometimes it creates like a way of clearing your mind in a meditative sort of way. But expending that energy can also aid in a better night's sleep. You're basically wearing yourself out. If you sit around all day, it's hard to go to sleep at night. You haven't put that energy, you haven't used the energy that you've got inside of you. Another interesting book that I highly recommend is called Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagasaki. In their book, they discuss the fight or flight stress cycle. And it goes a little something like this. So we see the tiger, adrenaline kicks in, we fight or we run from the tiger, and then we're safe from the tiger. The cycle's completed. That's how our nervous systems were initially designed to keep us safe. Even though we no longer live with the daily threat of wild animals, we're still very much wired that way. With our incredibly busy schedules, juggling family, work, and a million other responsibilities, we tend to live our lives in a heightened state of fight or flight, as if the tiger is always chasing us. It's immensely important to allow our bodies and our minds to complete the fight or flight stress cycle at some point every day. So kind of a fun way to do that. There actually are benefits to a 6-second kiss on the mouth or a 20-second hug. So both of those are kind of a long time, to like kiss or hug someone, unless it's somebody that you love and trust. So if you spend that 6 or 20 seconds in someone's embrace, you actually feel a sense of safety and security, and that helps release stress. And then you can complete the stress cycle, and you will definitely make the other person's day. So that's kind of nice too. Yoga can be an athletic practice, but it can also be can be relaxing, and it can aid in a recovery kind of capacity for both your mind and your body. So if you're looking for that from a yoga practice, look for classes that are called restorative or yin or gentle yoga or slow flow or essential stretch. And then make sure you read the description, maybe even get to know a little bit about the teacher. There's usually a bio, so you can get a sense of what kind of a practice that will be. Breathing, if we're doing it correctly, is our inner medicine cabinet. Proper breathing can help with stress, anxiety, sleep, digestion. It can help lower blood pressure. And I actually have testimonials to that effect from some of my active aging clients who take their blood pressure every day. I do breath work with them in the classes that I teach, the active aging classes, and many of them now do that breath work at home, and they've noticed the drop in their blood pressure. Breathing techniques that you can learn include pranayama, which is yoga breathwork. Prana is Sanskrit for life force, and yama means control. There's box breathing, the 4-7-8 method. You can take classes, there are workshops, you can find tutorials on YouTube. It really is worth learning how to breathe correctly. And then I love to talk about meditation. It helps to increase your mindfulness. It helps to clear your mind, kind of quiet the noise, all the worries, the to-do list that kind of hang around in there. It helps to calm your nervous system back against that fight or flight. And it can help improve your focus and help you manage if you're struggling with anxiety and depression. There are different styles. Mindfulness meditation brings your awareness internally. It combines some of that breath work. You focus on your breath. There's transcendental meditation, where you transcend the moment. Usually you're bringing your focus to a mantra of some sort. And then there's actually Jewish meditation. Some examples of that are meditating on a prayer like the Shema, or maybe on your own personal connection with God. So that's kind of interesting to learn about. Some books that I like to get you started. One of my favorites is called Sit Like a Buddha by Lodro Rinzler. And then Start Here Now by Susan Piver. And the interesting thing about both of those books is both of those authors are Jewish, who've found this sort of meditation practice, not Jewish meditation, but more of a mindfulness. But I think it is interesting how many Jews are kind of drawn to that practice. There are workshops that you can take, there are classes, and then of course there are meditation apps like Insight Timer that are free. There are some that you can pay for that offer different kinds of guided meditation. So that is all worth looking into. I included in the handout an unguided meditation that you could read over before you practice, and then have a seat and allow yourself to see where that goes. So I'm going to welcome back the panel.
Thank you so much, Liz. And as everyone heard, we have prepared some handouts that I will send to everyone following the presentation, either tonight or tomorrow morning. And they contain some really wonderful tips from both Liz and Cindy. So thank you all. I am going to really remember what you said, Liz, about hugging and kissing. Happened to be a big
I love that one.
So that's really good. We have a question. Actually, two people have asked the same question. Can you share the name of the books? Actually, what we'll do is, if you can share them with me when I email out to everyone, I'll include the names of the books if they're not on your handouts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted, there's so many questions that people wrote in. So thank you so much to those who did send in questions. We'll spend the next 15 minutes or so with some of the questions, and you can also feel free to write in the chat. But one of the questions we received was, can you address the relationship between physical and emotional health? And maybe if someone could just give a pretty short answer, and we can get on with some of the others as well. Who would like to take that one? The relationship between emotional and physical health.
I could take that. So I kind of mentioned this a little bit, but exercise can help relieve stress. It releases natural endorphins that are sort of the feel-good hormone. So that's one way, get your body moving. And, not to say that it takes place of therapy or medication if you are struggling with any kind of depression or anxiety, but it definitely is a good complement to it. I also think that physical activity is a great way to build your confidence, your self-esteem. Our bodies, they learn. You can set concrete goals, and if you make a commitment to physical activity, you can see improvement. And I think that when you have a body that feels strong and fit and powerful, it really does build your confidence.
That's great. How
I'm gonna
about,
can I add one thing to I think the other thing to remember and kind of ties in with a lot of what Cindy was talking about with our gastrointestinal system, the majority of our serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone, is made in our gut. And so if our gut's not healthy, we know that people who may have a higher rate of depression and things like that. So our physical body, in terms of just our energy that we produce by the food that we incorporate within our body, also impacts our emotional health as well.
that's helpful. Um, One of the questions we got asked is if any of you could share some of your either your morning rituals or your evening rituals. What are tips that if we just incorporated a few of these rituals? I know I heard Cindy mention starting your morning with a glass of water. Are there any other things that you would recommend?
Well, that's definitely one of my morning rituals. You know, I start every day with a glass of water, regardless. And that really does set you up just on a good note. You know, whatever is going to happen in that day is going to happen, but at least it started out well with good intention. Another thing that I think is really important is to try and get in the habit of ending dinner and sort of trying not to snack after that point. It's really helpful to have a period of time between finishing a meal and getting ready for bed. It really gives your body a time to wind down, and also good just to regulate your blood sugar through the evening, so you're not laying down, you know, on a full stomach or with food that might wake you up in the middle of the night and disrupt that sleep cycle. So I think starting the day with a glass of water, ending the day with dinner at whatever time that might be for you, are really nice things to establish. The other thing that I think is kind of important through the day, not necessarily on either end, but try to drink water not with your meal. I think that's another really good habit. Try 20 minutes before a meal or 20 minutes after a meal, because that really helps not to dilute the digestive enzymes that you're trying to use to digest your food. So just little habits. That's through your day, morning, through your day, and evening.
And then I would say when it's time to go to bed, it's a good idea to turn off screens at least a half hour to an hour before you go to bed. If you can get away from your phone, turn off the TV. Personally, I try to sit and read for 20 to 30 minutes. And if I don't fall asleep reading, then I like to try to just kind of meditate, you know, close my eyes, focus on my breath, try to clear all the noise from the day out of my head before I go to sleep.
Mary, do you want to add anything?
Sure. For me, my mornings are when I will, you know, just knowing I have a busy day ahead is when I'll try and do my yoga practice. And some days it's, you know, shorter than others, but, you know, so I'll incorporate the stretching that Liz talked about just to get my body moving in the morning, and then sit, you know, and just kind of set an intention for my day. You know, and especially just how you started off, there's so many things going on in our world right now. And I feel like so many times we can all feel so inundated with information. And so I find if I don't start my day, which I was for a while, reading the news, it really just helps set my fight or flight response down to begin my day. And then I love in the evenings using some, you know, time before bed to journal. I just find that really helpful.
That's great. Thank you. So we should not take our laptops into our bed with us at night, right?
I actually say 2 hours before bed. It disrupts your melatonin is what it does. So it actually has a hormonal impact. And so if you're on something that's backlit, probably even wearing your cute blue blocker glasses, it just is not good for your melatonin.
I didn't hear anyone talk about food preparation or anything we can do to get meals ready so that when we do want a snack, there are things that are already there for us. Can anyone talk about that? And do you have any tips of things that we could do to prepare?
Instant pot.
I actually would recommend when you get home from the grocery store, if you can spend some time like washing and cutting the produce that can be washed and cut ahead of time, and putting things in like glass lock containers or ball jars, because then you kind of have a salad or soup at the ready whenever you want to kind of throw it together. And then I guess my other thing would be I tend to eat the same thing for breakfast and lunch almost every single day. So that takes the decision making out of the process. And then dinner is different, but it's easy to prepare when I know it's the same thing.
Someone's asking, can anyone share your go-to meals? Liz, you want to start?
I was going to let Cindy, because she's the nutritionist.
Okay, I actually have we've included it's a recipe. I think it's called the rainbow salad that we've included in your handout. I think that's one of my favorite go-to meals. I pretty much have some version of that every day for lunch. And it's basically sort of what Liz just said. It's having a lot of ingredients available in your refrigerator to throw together into a beautiful, big, like colorful salad that has everything that you need. And so I usually will start with like greens, whatever I have in my refrigerator. That's usually arugula and maybe some baby spring mix or something. And then I chop up cucumbers and carrots and bell peppers and tomatoes. And then I whatever I've got left over, maybe some kind of bean or roasted vegetables that are in my fridge. I've usually got beets, nuts, some seeds, and I kind of just throw it all in there. And I have a jar of dressing that I keep in my fridge. That really helps me. At the beginning of the week, I make a jar of just a vinaigrette, and I usually make some kind of like a tahini dressing. And then everything goes in the bowl, and I just throw the dressing over, and it's just so delicious. It's satisfying, and it's got everything you need in it. So that's definitely one of my go-to. And scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs are amazing.
Anyone else want to add? The dog, Charlie?
That's funny. I tend to, my mornings are a little bit crazy. I tend to teach classes in the mornings. So I like to make some sort of a green drink / smoothie, which is usually a combination of some fruit, some leafy greens, maybe some coconut water, some plant-based protein powder, because it has to fuel me really until I make my way. Sometimes I teach like 3 or 4 classes in the morning. And I find that, for different people, breakfast can look differently. Like if you're getting up and going to sit at a desk, you're not going to want the same kind of breakfast if you're getting up and going to work out. And you maybe can't eat a full breakfast if you're going to work out, and you just need a little something to fuel you through, and then a little something after. You have to kind of think about what your morning's going to look like, and then decide from there what you need in order to get to where you need to go.
Mary, do you want to add anything? You're muted, Mary.
So I think Cindy and I must be making lunch together every day. I say that to Paige. So my goal every day is to try and consume 4 to 6 cups of vegetables. I just think that's the base of my diet, and I don't name my diet anything, but so I always have, washed greens, different kinds of greens. I'll throw together a salad. This is where I get my probiotic. I buy refrigerated sauerkraut. I'll put a scoop of that on my salad every day. And again, whatever's in my fridge. And that is my lunch every single day I take to work. And it's so easy. And I know I was kind of teasing about Instant Pot, but it's changed my life, because I can come home after working all day and throw in, some protein and just vegetables on top, close it, go do something else I need to do. And, maybe in 20 or 30 minutes, I've got an amazing meal that's full of nutrition. So, or on the weekends, I'll make, maybe a big pot of like veggie soup, and then put it in individual things so that when I leave in the morning, I can just get it out, put it in the fridge, and heat it up when I get home.
Great idea.
My shopping's on the weekends.
I've heard a lot about chia seeds and hemp seeds. and flax. And I'm wondering if someone can address and tell us what the health benefits of these are, and how you recommend incorporating them into our diet, if it's something that you do recommend.
Okay, I'll start. I think that, well, I do personally use those a lot. I use them as toppings when I'm eating either yogurt in the morning or oatmeal. And the benefit is that they contain beautiful, healthy omega fats that we need. They also have, protein. They have they just have a lot of health benefits, and they're just such an easy addition to incorporate into your meals. And you can get them, you can get them pretty much available anywhere now. I know, like, Trader Joe's, any of the grocery stores now, have them. And they just really add a lot more. If you take a bowl of oatmeal and you sprinkle on hemp seeds, and you sprinkle on pumpkin seeds, and sorry, Tammy, I'm not remembering what else you had asked about. Chia. Chia, the one thing that I do think people should remember about chia seeds absorb a lot of water. I don't tend to use them raw, just sprinkled on things. Chia seeds are great if you're making like a chia pudding. You actually want to take the chia seeds and soak them maybe overnight, even in water or coconut milk or something, and actually make it into, it kind of gels into a pudding. Because you don't want the chia seeds to really go into your system and just absorb all the water that you have in your digestive tract. So I definitely would recommend chia seeds being made before just being sprinkled on. But the others are so easy to sprinkle on, and a great source of omega-3 fats.
How do you feel about the recommendation to add lemon to water, especially in the morning? Are there health benefits to that? Anyone?
Makes it taste better.
So,
No, I mean, it's a source of vitamin C, and it probably stimulates digestion a little bit potentially. And, I mean, some people do the same thing and use apple cider vinegar, for digestive health.
Mm-hmm.
But, you don't want to do too much. Obviously, it could be a little acidic.
Anything else? So if any one of us would go to start to work with an integrative nutrition specialist, what kinds of things should we be prepared to talk about? Or how could we, what could we do to maximize any of the learning that you're sharing, or that we could do if we, pursue more knowledge? Does that make sense? Kind of a.
You repeat the question.
If we were to come to one of you,
Yes.
to follow up after this program, what kinds of things would you think we should be thinking about before we approach coming to you? Or if we were to approach coming to someone else, what kinds of things should we be thinking about? Is that better?
Yeah, so I think it's good to have a sense of what your goals are. Like what are you looking for when you decide that you want to work with someone? And sometimes when you meet with someone, they can help you find your goals, but sometimes it's weight loss, but sometimes it's, there is like a functional mobility component to it. They want like being able to walk up and down stairs, pick up their grandchildren, or maybe train for a 5K. Like there are all different reasons why people want to improve their health and wellness, or maybe they just know that their diet is not great and they're feeling sluggish. So I think it's kind of having a sense of what your goals are, or being willing to go to someone who's able to kind of help you flesh that out. When I work with somebody, I usually try to get an understanding of their health history and what their day-to-day life looks like. And if they have physical or dietary limitations, and then then sometimes together we kind of talk about what are realistic goals and attainable. That's what's really important.
Great. We are going to close in just a moment. Before we do, I know, Liz, you have a meditation that I think you would like to work through with all of us. And if I could just ask each of you to share one closing thought that you'd like to leave us with, what would that be? Can we start with Mary?
So yes, I would encourage people to think about your health like sailing a ship. And if you make a small change in your rudder, over long term, your health outcomes can be so different. So trying to make small changes that are sustainable in your life can lead you to incredible health changes down the road.
Beautiful. Cindy?
I think that I would say really invest time in taking care of your wellness and your health, because it's far easier to take care of wellness than it is to manage disease or illness. So I think that's my parting comment.
So be proactive.
Be proactive and don't wait. Don't wait. Today's a great day to take care of yourself.
Great thought. Liz?
So I think we're all kind of variations on a theme here, but like I like to say, every day brings new opportunity to be your best self. So it's good to take time and think about what that looks like for you.
That's great. Okay, you're on again, Liz.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little guided meditation together. So I'd like everybody to, I wish I could see everyone, but I'd like everyone to sit either, if you're in a chair, kind of like mid-seat with your knees at 90 degrees and your feet on the floor. If you're on the ground, you could sit maybe like on a meditation cushion or a pillow with your legs crossed, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then think about having a nice long spine, like the top of your head is reaching to the ceiling. So you're creating lots of space for like the air to flow in your torso. And then lift your hands up over your elbows and just sort of let your hands drop on your thighs. Find just a soft gaze in front of you, or feel free to close your eyes and start to bring your awareness internally. Just give yourself a moment to notice how your body feels. And then start to notice the natural rhythm of your inhales and your exhales. Just let your mind follow the natural pattern of your breath. On your inhales, begin to fill your entire torso up with air. Let your lungs expand. Let your breath travel all the way down to your belly. Let it get nice and full. And then on your exhales, try to fully release your breath. Just let your torso deflate. Maybe feel even more grounded in your seat, in your space. Starting at the top of your head, let's do a little body scan. Bring your awareness to your forehead. If you feel any tension, try to let that tension just sort of soften on your exhale. See if you can let it release. Let your awareness travel to your jaw. Again, notice if there's any tension there. And if there is, try to let that go on your exhale. Notice your neck and your shoulders. Let your awareness travel down your spine, into your hips. Notice your knees, your ankles, your feet. Bring your awareness all the way down to the tips of your toes. Slowly begin to wiggle your toes. Begin to wiggle your fingers. Make circles with your wrists. Whenever you're ready, reach your arms out and up overhead, stretching out your spine, and then bring your palms to touch and your hands to heart center. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Let's hold that breath at the top. And then slowly sigh it out. Just let it go. Bring your thumbs to your third eye between your eyebrows. And allow yourself to recognize the calm and the peacefulness of this moment. The light and the love in me sees the light and the love in you. Namaste. All right, feel free to flutter your eyes open. Hopefully nobody fell asleep, or maybe it's good if you did.
Liz, I think that you're going to get a lot of calls every night, maybe around 9 o'clock. You can all do that. We can make that be one of our evening rituals. So before we close, I just want to say thank you again to Cindy, to Liz, to Mary for sharing and volunteering your time and your expertise. There is so much knowledge that you have to share, and we are so incredibly grateful. So thank you, thank you. And one of the things that I'd like to note is that at Schechter, we believe that we're so much more than a school. We're a community for life, and we are committed to bringing programs and educational opportunities to our community free of charge. And there's a few things that are coming up that I just wanted to share with you. On Tuesday, April 5th, we are having our first in-person event in a long time with Lisa Barr, who is an alum and an award-winning author of a book, Woman on Fire. I read it over the weekend. It is incredible. And her book has been optioned by Sharon Stone. And then on Tuesday, April 12th at noon, you can join us on Zoom to learn how you can spice up your Seder with someone who I hope will be spicing up my Seder, Rabbi Josh Warsoski. And you can look for more on these events in our Friday e-newsletter. And just a shout out to everyone who has donated to Schechter this year to support our mission. We are gearing up for something that's really exciting. It's called our High Five Challenge. And this is our community-wide annual fundraising appeal in March. And this year's challenge has a theme, Schechter Above and Beyond. And our goal is 365 donations by March 31st. And if we reach our goal, we will receive an additional $36,000 from Schechter parents of alumni Tina and Joe Wolf. So if you've been inspired by any of our programs this year or by how Schechter continues to go above and beyond for our students and families, we hope you'll consider participating. And as I mentioned, we're going to be following up this program with some handouts. I will be sure to include websites of our panelists, as well as the names of any books that have been mentioned, so that you can read them at your leisure. So thank you again. Thank you to everyone for participating, and have a really wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.